Hi everyone, welcome to another session on our YouTube channel. Today we're going to be talking about the hot topic, well pretty much the hot topic of the year to be honest, which is AI and how that's going to be affecting what we do across marketing, sales and service in HubSpot. Um, Today's going to be kind of more of a special session. It's going to be much more of a discussion. We'll be talking about not so much the current features that HubSpot has been implementing for AI, for which there are a lot that are already out in beta or available to use, but more about the future direction that HubSpot's likely to go in and the whole sort of marketing and sales environment is likely to go in around AI over the coming months and years. So specifically on today's, we'll be focusing on the future of top of funnel. So looking at some of the concepts that we have been exploring and the ideas that we have around how marketing and sales is going to evolve as AI lets us to be a lot more personal with the content that we have and allow that to drive and ultimately improve awareness and conversion rates with less reliance on humans in that process. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Scott, who's going to start talking us through how this works.
Awesome. Thanks, James. So I think we need to start, why is this important now? So one of the things that, we always talk about in HubSpot are these buyer personas. So, taking a moment to reflect on that, it's like, why do we do buyer personas? And one of the things was that buyer personas always gave us the ability to group people, to categorize people. And our focus, especially in marketing, is to look at the funnels around these buyer personas. So I think the interesting thing is that historically, AI and bots didn't really have a strong ability to understand content. But as AI and bots understand content more conceptually, the concept of a buyer persona starts to change. It really becomes something more customized because now we're not just looking at how to group people together. We're actually able to analyze people. We're able to read backgrounds of people. We're able to read posts of people. And this kind of changes the dynamics. It means we have a much deeper understanding of who our customers are and who they are. So I believe, before ChatGPT and Gemini and these other models, any of these kind of contextual things relied on a human, and it just wasn't really feasible for a human to go read a lot of content about a customer. Maybe the salesperson could, but maybe from a marketing point of view and a top of funnel point of view was not really feasible. But when it comes to artificial intelligence, it does have the ability to do that. And it's not a costly process to actually kind of read and try to understand who your customers are. So, one of the things that I believe is important is the ability to really profile individual users is something that we can now start doing a lot better at. And something that ChatGPT and Gemini and other models like this have the capability of doing is much more than just writing content. They have the ability to summarize content. They have the ability to analyze content. They have the ability to extract certain profiles in a much more meaningful way. So they're able to go beyond your standard metrics like the industry, the job titles, and all these other things. So, having that change in paradigm, that technology paradigm, means that we need to reevaluate how we kind of approach our top of funnel and how we go beyond, not ignoring buyer personas, but go beyond that and really think about the individual from a marketing point of view more as an individual.
Yeah, that's such a massive shift. I mean, if we take it back to the start of what HubSpot's been trying to do with their platform, that they always wanted to get away from those basic attributes like industry and job title and things like that in the first place, and look at buyer personas, but look at people in a more holistic way and to look at their behaviors and things like that and factor in and personalize the experience. based on that wider set of data that's available within HubSpot to them. But of course, that still means quite a lot of work for your marketers who've got to build workflows. They've got to put smart content into their emails, do all these other things within the HubSpot tools that are available to make all those different variations of content and make that as personal as you want. But yeah, as we're saying, like, a marketer's not going to be able to do that for every individual. They're going to be able to take that to as much of a degree as they have capacity to do and customize it as much as the marketing team has bandwidth to do. But really, this is a brilliant evolution because we're talking about technology being able to customize and personalize that to the individual level, which a marketer on their own building content would never have the capacity to do, no matter how much time they have or no matter how big their team is.
For sure. So I think, I put this slide together as what we think the future will look like in the top of funnel. So there's a lot of different aspects of the top of funnel, but here, I'm really kind of focusing on where we can observe information anywhere like social media, LinkedIn, Facebook, and other channels of information. And this is what I believe that is going to happen. As things change. First, we need to look at the customer. And, James, you pointed out those standard factors are just one element. But now, if we can read content, if we can understand content, what we can start doing is speculating about really what a company is about. What is their latest blogs? What is their latest information? And not only that, we can look at individual people. So we can look at what is the company talking about, what is a person talking about, and who are they associated with, and what are they talking about. So we're really taking the personal profile, email, phone number, industry, company, down to a whole lot more levels of depth. So I really see that is, not just looking at the person, let's look at their associations, groups, co-workers, and other kind of associations there. Let's profile the people, find similar companies, similar customers, I mean. So we're talking about not just on those basic attributes, but in depth on a not numerical point of view, but the contextual point of view, how they write, what they're writing about, what their belief systems are. Now we can speculate as we learn more about what customer problems they're going to have, what kind of benefits that they would be looking for, and definitely the personality type. So there's a different model about personality, and that will kind of reach into how we write content and how we structure the content. I really see that that's really the next level of where we're taking customer personas. And as I said, taking an individual profile and fitting it in, taking a customer persona and getting into a more specialized type of persona in there. So one thing I believe, like the things that we're likely to see is what I'm calling observer bots, which are anything that's kind of scanning LinkedIn, scanning people's profiles, matching their profiles across different social medias, and just collecting information. And I believe it's collecting the information about the person, about the company, and most of it important, their associates, because a lot of people are buying on referrals, on what their network believes, on how your customer problem or your product you're serving is not just for you, but how it relates to other people within your company. So collecting that information, I believe, given that most of that information is textual information, using things, as I said, like ChatGPT and other models, will be able to read that information and interpret it to something that's meaningful to make decisions on. The other thing I think we'll see a lot of is personality profiles. So these are just more models. So as I said, a lot of models historically are based on the basic attributes. But now when you factor in composing sentences into meaning, now we're really able to create deeper models of personality and understand the customer in a much more personal way. And the kind of last thing I'm seeing here is communication bots. So I have a whole section about communications, and this one really interests me and gets me excited because if you think, let's take LinkedIn as an example, someone is writing comments and bots, you as either a salesperson or a marketer or as a company can now engage with that person. So if I said, I'm a SaaS company and I really struggle to find an accounting tool that does measures MMR, recurring revenue. So now let's say our solution matches what you are looking for, we have the ability to engage with that post. We're able to respond to that post. We're able to either comment or like similar posts to create the balance of communication. So we're already engaging that person to create an awareness. And not only that person, we can engage the people in their network as well. So we can engage, let's say we had dealing with a marketing person, we might want to engage with the sales operations, comment, like, share their post to be able to create that awareness of who we are. Because essentially, top of funnel, we're really trying to create that awareness. But here we can really look at a strategy of localizing that awareness. So this is your world, these are your coworkers, these are your friends, these are your influencers. So why not influence all those people and not just the single person we're talking to? Like really, really try to create that awareness bubble around who we're trying to sell to. And I think one of the last concepts, and this is obviously just an example, I'm sure there's others, is the ability to generate content on the fly. So something we talk about is CTA, call to actions, in our top of funnel. Let's take an example. We comment on someone's post and we say, oh, you're looking for measuring your recurring revenue in a SaaS product environment. So maybe you're just an accounting software which has the capability of measuring recurring revenue. But with the technology, you could essentially make a landing page or what do you call the pages with the forms and where you enter the information? Gated information page or a blog at real time. So you already have your content and your knowledge base, and you could be generating CTAs in real time as part of your top of funnel. And that CTA is customized for that individual that you're talking to.
Yeah.
Does it all make sense?
It certainly does, yeah. And that's such a big evolution from what we've been doing up to this point with these kind of prospecting tools. I'm expecting quite a few of you watching have used things like LinkedIn automation tools or email prospecting tools like Apollo. You can customize those to a degree, but it's your responsibility to set up all the targeting and to try and work out what the lists of people are you want to actually target with your campaigns, or the groups in LinkedIn you want to target. It's up to you to create the messaging. And some of those will also include like scripts for liking and commenting on those people's content, not just sending them messages as we all get continuously from other LinkedIn bots on LinkedIn. This will be taking that a step much further than that, customizing the content per person, but also using what we learn from the targeting to target people better and to target the right people more effectively, and using those successful people that you target to work out, as Scott says, who within their network you want to target as well. I mean, how many times have you set up a LinkedIn sort of bot and you just sort of left it and it's been going off sending messages to the wrong people, and they've been coming back and saying, yeah, I'm not your target. But unless you're checking that, you're not seeing that actually you need to make those adjustments to your targeting, whereas the AI absolutely could do that based on analyzing the responses and the outcomes that it's getting. And that same goes for adjusting the content that it's sending as well, not just the targeting.
Yeah, and I've got an example there, James. Like one of the things that we've been testing and playing with was, let's say we're trying to promote HubSpot. We search for the keyword like HubSpot, and then you get your responses. Either you get people or you get the content. Historically, the bots are just replying to everybody. They're commenting on everyone. But one of the common cases we're doing is like we're asking the bot or the AI, is this person asking questions about HubSpot? Is this person talking about features of HubSpot? Is this person talking about whatever? So suddenly it's not keywords anymore. We're actually asking it contextual information, either about that user's profile or about a post that they said, to make sure that it's actually relevant. Because, at the end of the day, it's better to have one post to a highly relevant person than 1,000 posts to people that are not relevant at all. And obviously that's not good for your awareness when you become that spammy company as well, like you mentioned. The continuous spam. So, it takes the hunting out of the prospecting. If you know what you want, then the AI can learn how to find what you want. So, that's very exciting for top of funnel. Yeah.
And how do you how do you teach it initially to know what you want? Because I understand that it's going to evolve as it learns from the results it gets. But like a lot of founders, they will, and a lot of marketers, they'll have that initial task that they often hate of creating those buyer personas, trying to work out who they are, so they at least have a starting point to work off of, and not really knowing, is this going to be right, but not being able to accept the fact that that is something they're going to have to evolve over time when they see the results, and they've got to make that first jump first. What do we put into the observer bot basically to get that going?
Yeah, I would say that the most important thing that I've done is like trying to think of the customer problem. The persona is what you believe is a solution or who fits into your solution or your niche market, where of course you can still have your niche market and you can still set those parameters. And I believe it's a good thing, because you might not want to sell to the whole world. You might only want to sell to people in a certain industry, but you can express, for observing and identifying people, you can express it as questions. Is this person talking about a certain subject matter? Is this person asking questions about a subject matter? So, ChatGPT can, and as I said, the Gemini and other similar systems can actually get answers to that. So, I've heavily used a series of questions, yes, no questions, and asked the AI respond to each of these questions with a yes or no to identify if those people are talking about the problem that I'm trying to solve. I'm not even talking about the solution. I'm not even talking about the mechanism. I'm only getting it to hunt for people that likely to have the problem that my product or service is solving. So then we have the ability to build up upon that person as we learn more about that person, and identifying is the first aspect, and then kind of observing and collecting more information about that person to essentially to gather really who that person is.
Yeah, for sure. And you may find if you do keep those restrictions a bit looser, that the AI could find for you different targets you never really thought were a target. I mean, as a founder, you may have quite a good understanding of your customer problems. Some don't, but a good number of them do. But being able to take that customer problem and let the AI research and find out for you through testing and evolving who is an ideal customer for you could ultimately improve your conversion rates, because you're reaching out to these people that you never knew are actually a potential customer to you, and you're able to do that with these mechanisms in so much more of a personalized way that is going to get a lot more positive response and cut through all the noise that we get on email and LinkedIn with all the cold prospecting that we have coming in at the moment.
So I think the question is why we think it's now. So one of the things I believe with top of funnel here is that forensics, when we're talking about forensics and definitely in the sales world, it's about understanding the person that you're selling to and also about their network. If you think that every person belongs to a group, they belong to a type of relationship, then understanding that relationship is just important. But most relationships that we talk about are not so easy to measure because they're all based on text. It's about, and I'll give you an example here, right? So if I'm in a Facebook or a LinkedIn group, then I might be writing about ideas and conversation, and the people I'm interacting with are also within that topic matter. So the relationship there is about a peer group of influencers. The relationship between me and my company and what my company believes, maybe analyzing the company's blog, analyzing the company's social media page to work out what is that company pushing as its ideals internally and how does that relate to the person that I'm selling to. So having most of these are pretty heavily text-based and have a lot to do with about the communications that people are having. And as I said, I think before the LLMs are not new, but they probably weren't very good. And I think really this year, the announcements this year with, as I said, Gemini, with ChatGPT, especially Omni, the versions and things like that, they're really giving us a deeper way of analyzing content and converting that content into relationships and content groups. So it could be done in the past, but it can be done much, much better now. And the effort, I believe, for marketers, the rewards versus effort wasn't there in the past to really be doing a deep dive on individual level. broadcast or generalized marketing was really the only option, not even necessarily a preference. I'm sure marketers would love to be able to talk to people on an individual level. And I really believe that that's kind of happening. I think the other thing that's really happened was we have the ability to highly humanize text. So I think everyone knows this now. Like, I believe that's kind of like what ChatGPT is now most famous for, is the ability to write human text. So as James was saying, we had these very general metrics. We may have email sequences, and these don't necessarily need to go away, but the ability to put in the context of the customer is now, we have the technology to do that. And I'll go back to my example. I'm a SaaS company talking about recurring revenue. There's no reason to have a general email that just says, oh, we can do recurring revenue. No, we can actually put it in the context of that SaaS company. Oh, we have this SaaS company. We know how to analyze. We know the importance to SaaS companies, and we have worked with other SaaS companies as well. So as long as the AI knows the background and the knowledge base, it's able to provide examples. It's be able to provide exact details that are either answering your question because you filled it out in a form somewhere, or the questions that it's guessing that you have, that it's guessing that this is your customer problem. So this is something that I think is, if it's not there already in some companies, it's definitely coming very quickly.
This definitely would have been something that'd be a role of the sales team previously, and probably when they're doing things like account-based marketing, they'll be able to have this level of focus, especially when we're looking at the sort of the influencers, as Scott calls them, which would be not as in influencers in social media, but influencers within the same company that are part of that ultimate decision process. So particularly if you're in using this for a B2B situation, and it's a kind of higher value considered purchase product or service that you're offering, then there's going to be lots of different decision makers and influencers involved in that sales process. And someone doing ABM, for instance, would be able to do that kind of targeted research and reach out to all the people that are within the network of that decision and deliver that targeted content on a case-by-case basis, because there really is value for those high-value potential clients to make that human investment. But this really opens that up to a wider range, not just for the high value then, but also for mid value potentially as well, where you can get the AI to make that same level of effort that was previously being done by salespeople for high value situations, and also by your marketers. So it really changes the role that both the marketing and the sales teams are going to be having, and shifts things that sales would traditionally do for those larger deals to an opportunity for the marketers to take that on and strategize on that stuff using the AI tools.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely filtering down from the top of funnel into those sales, and that knowledge is compounding, right? Like every communication you have with a customer, every interaction is adding to their profile. It's getting smarter about what that customer's needs are, their wants are, their emotions are, knowing that selling is more than just numbers, it's also emotions as well. So, I mean, I refer to something like a similar customer. Currently, we kind of categorize customers, right, when they come in. And here, what we can do is we learn a lot more details as the customers. So, we're seeing some companies using this already, creating virtual customers to see how they react to certain environments, to see how they answer questions. So creating that similar customer models means that we can almost guess the behavior of the customer before we actually do an action. We can work out what they're likely to buy, how important their problems are, and other things like that. So I see like this is really creating virtual customers to sell to real customers. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, having virtual customers allows you to simulate, to behave, to really dig deep into what your product is, and especially if you're doing a service, what services to offer, because you can create simulated results before actual results. So I think, in the future where marketing will become more of a bot issue. Like I think this is going to be the future, because now AI can read posts, they can read links, they can read images, they can read things and actually make meaning out of them. So, I really see the future challenges is getting the right bots and getting the right technology in place to be able to perform these kind of understandings and the associations and how associations are. So I think, in the short term, top of funnel will become a bot issue, but these other things will be less, less of an issue. We're already seeing the results already. So yeah, let's go on to how I see this kind of working in HubSpot. So these are my opinions. I see that in HubSpot, we'll be focusing more on how we represent the customer. So, as I said, with bots, with the content, with the background, we will be able to create very detailed attributes in a customer, right? So we're going to be seeing conversations, their likes, their dislikes, their potential personalities, the tones that they're like, technical thinkers, non-technical thinkers, who is their potentially friends, who are they hanging out with? Is the tech person hanging out with marketing people or sales people, or are they into games or whatever? Should we use game lingo to talk to them? I'm just kind of kidding around, but these are the kind of things that we could be collecting about the customer. So I believe that will really take a customer persona and make it a lot stronger. And I don't see things will necessarily change so much in the way the workflows and the sales pipelines are done as in today, but I do believe that things like the emails, right? And I've seen this in a couple of places already where workflows are performing AI models to generate like the first paragraph of an email, or they're customizing a call to action already for that user based on their problem. So it's creating a general group with a buyer persona and then creating specific text within there. And I'll go back to my SaaS example, SaaS MMR. Okay, you want to answer that exact problem. And if you've got even more details, then we're going to mention those exact problems. So now we can kind of make those emails, like the first paragraph, second paragraph, more targeted through the workflows. So maybe the workflows is you have a workflow for deeply analyzing the customer and being able to preload that information, and that making each email its purpose will change and be able to generate content will become more dynamic. We'll be able to build websites for call to actions. We'll be able to start seeing simulation behavior and models of the customers, which I talked about, and I think simulating customers will be able to customize what we're going to be selling them. So being able to predict and forecast what they're likely to buy. So we can use models like ChatGPT to do that already, and we can enhance it with the data that you have in HubSpot and the analytics you have in HubSpot. And I think I killed this one to death. As the deep research of the person and their company about what their customer problems or solutions that they're offering. What about yours, James? You got anything to add?
Yeah, this is definitely like a big improvement on what people are reporting on using HubSpot for at the moment to make their decisions. I mean, we all use a degree of reporting within HubSpot, particularly like looking at the KPIs and how they're being delivered on the marketing side. It might be looking at a few attributes like the performance of your email campaigns and the performance of your landing pages and like where your potential prospects are coming from. But to be able to get this level of detailed information into HubSpot and be able to make decisions based on that is big, because HubSpot reports, they're very easy to make and they're very easy to read, but they're only as good as the data that you have available. And be able to collect this data using AI and automation, you'll know that you're getting a good, strong source of very comprehensive data that you can use to make decisions and to help, in some ways, to help the AI to go in the direction that you want it to go in and find the right people. We have had some customers, as Scott alluded to already, that have been playing with a mix of things with the content. Like we do have one customer is using Operations Hub, for instance, to build that customized content. So like plugging into ChatGPT, taking the inputs that you already have in HubSpot around what's been collected so far, and using that to output the customized content. So whereas in just a normal workflow, you could have different branches based on persona 1, persona 2, and persona 3, by having that integration, you can say, well, take the outputs from the form submission that this prospect has done and the answers to all the questions that they've given about what their individual problems are and what their individual scenario is, hand that over to ChatGPT through a HubSpot workflow, have that formulate a response, push that back into a custom field in HubSpot, And when that comes back, then you can trigger the automated email. So that's just so much better than a situation where you just have a thank you email going out after you submit a form on a landing page, like having something custom coming back without having to wait for your salesperson to analyze that and come up with something to give back to that potential prospect. You could have the AI come back and do that within, well, you could have it come back within 10 seconds, but to make it seem human, you maybe want to have that happening within 10 minutes or something like that.
And I think it's also the tone as well. Like, it's not just the text, it's the tone and the emotional stuff, which I'm also excited about, like being able to write in the way the customer is, very technical and very rigid. Okay, boom. You can describe that and get the content the right way. If they're more emotional or storytellers, then okay, you can instruct your solution to be, or whatever your response was, in that tone, in that kind of storytelling tone, or more focused on the examples and case studies than on the actual solution that you're offering, if that's the kind of person that you're talking to. And I mean, every sales and marketing person knows what we're talking about here. And I think, being able to adjust tone is just as important as using the language of the industry and using the right answers to those targeted messages are going to be. So I'm very excited about getting non-generic emails.
Yeah, me too. They're a bit of a blight for everybody. And one other assurance I want to just give is taking from the example that I just walked you through for one, you won't need to throw away everything you've done so far. I know that many of you have invested heavily in getting HubSpot set up in the way that works for your marketing strategy, but this can be something that evolves and improves over time using the AI, just like it otherwise would have been for everything else that you continuously improve as your HubSpot portal develops. So we're inputting the AI into that flow to make it better, and we're using AI in combination with what you already have set up, just helping to make this better and better all the time. You don't have to start from scratch. It's just another iteration.
That's for sure. It's going to be exciting to see what companies do and what type of creativity comes out of this. And I think it's changing the role of sales and marketing. I kind of see it like it's almost like you become the strategy master. That effort of writing content, that effort of analyzing customers kind of becomes a lower priority for a marketing and salesperson. But really understanding your strategies, the content you have, what you're delivering, all the strategic information becomes way more important in this world of AI, because you're providing the instructions to the AI to lead you forwards, rather than actually sitting there and creating 100 versions of an email, which is not really that valuable for a important marketing or sales person.
And no one ever really gets around to it in the end either. Maybe you'll create 3 or 4, but you never get to that point unless you really enjoyed it. Yeah, exactly.
Right. Oh, we got our final thoughts. All right. So, what we discussed here, we're discussing about how the AI is impacting, how that's going to impact HubSpot. But there's other things, that I see coming down the line very quickly, and I do see a couple of companies using it already. Choice and predictive models. So really, they've always existed in the market, but they kind of heavily rely on getting actual data. So I believe what's coming here is the ability to create virtual choice models and virtual predictive models. So if you have no customers or you haven't marketed something, you can start predicting how things will behave before you even start, without even any data. Choice models give you the ability to start simulating what attributes are important, how they impact people, how sensitive people are to individual attributes. So you kind of have the theoretical stage, and then you have the practical stage of what your sales results tell you. To avoid errors, we have a theoretical stage with theoretical data that being created. And I think that's been a big change with the AI. And if you think of ChatGPT, right? Everyone thinks about it as a text generator, as a answer questions, but it also represents a huge amount of knowledge about customers, about best practices, about how things work, what people like and what people don't like. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't need to be exact, right? We're not talking about something that's perfect. We're talking about something that can give you ideas before and how an environment will react before it even exists. So I see that's going to be a very big change. And I see the predictive and choice models, as I was saying, converting text into something more meaningful than just text will allow us to use things like predictive models. And when a customer comes in, we can simulate their behavior, we can optimize their behavior, we can optimize what products to sell to them, maybe optimize what to sell to them first, what to sell to them second, what they're going to react to the most. So this is super exciting. I think, you know, these models have existed, but as I said, normally you've had to go through to surveys, collect a lot of data beforehand, and now we're really opening the gateway to have them for everyone to have them for planning for the future. And I think one of the other thing is I won't get into the technicals here, but what James was saying was very important because AI will always optimize based on a fitness function. So you as a company, it's marketing or a salesperson, it's about setting the direction you want it to go, setting it how you want it to work. So I think that's the good thing. Like with HubSpot and other kind of CRMs, you can hard code your logics around it, and then you can build a framework around your AI. Where do you want it to go? Where do you want it to optimize? How you want to limit it talking to customers? Or do you want to let it go least? And I'll give you an example. Let's say I gave $200 of Starbucks credits, Starbucks gift card for you to sign up and use my product. Maybe your objective is to get the most customers. Of course, the AI is just going to max your your spending, right? It's going to give 200. If you're unlimited, they'll give $1,000 gift card to maximize your lead generation. So that's the thing is that you as the marketing and sales people, and us as well, it's about us rationalizing where do we want to point the AI? Where do we want to point the technology? How do we want this strategy to roll out? And then give it the freedom to learn and improve over time and really kind of go forwards with those kind of sales and have the attributes it needs, ability to understand your company and ability to optimize around those targets. And my final thoughts.
Yeah. My final thoughts really would be this is an exciting change for marketers, like marketing managers, directors, CMOs for sure. Like for several reasons. For one, it's going to make your KPIs improve for sure by the quality of the content and the personalization and the impact that's going to have on the conversion rates that you can achieve. But also, as we can see, it's going to make like the role that you have within marketing, I think more like quite interesting or even more interesting because you can take that more strategic focus and spend less of your time absorbed in the execution of things that the AI is going to be able to do for you. So this is going to be quite a big change. It's definitely going to happen gradually over time. But those marketers that do embrace this and don't shy away from it are going to be the ones that are really going to be delivering the best results for their business at the end of the day. And if that's something that does sound interesting to you, then like feel free to reach out to us. Like we obviously are a HubSpot solutions partner, so we work with a lot of companies that use HubSpot in their business. But AI is really something that we as a team are very passionate about and something that we believe, as you can see, is the future of HubSpot and the future of the way that this is all going. So if you want our help in sort of understanding how best to integrate AI into your campaigns and your practices and the direction that your team and your company is taking, then feel free to reach out to us so that we can have a chat about like what that's going to involve and help you to formulate a game plan and of course help you to execute that game plan as well if you want us to.
It's exciting times. And we're going to have a few more of these chats, right, James? I think we've got a few more topics and really drill into some of the specifics here. And we'll give some examples of how we see this working in HubSpot as well. So, I think if you're interested please reach out and let's have a conversation. And feel free to get involved.
Yeah, definitely. And we won't just stick to marketing as well. Like, I mean, this these kind of concepts can be applied further down the funnel as well. So we're going to look at all possibilities of what we can achieve together with this technology. And I hope you find this interesting as we keep going through this journey.
Awesome. All right.
All right.
Thanks.
Have a great day, everyone. Bye-bye.
See you. Bye.